Good morning, everybody. Excited to see you guys again this week. We're gonna try something new, a little different this week for just for fun. You in your bag you had a needle, a crochet needle. Crochet needle has a little hook at the top, and then you got a little ball of practice yarn. I'm calling this your practice yarn because this is going to be kind of a practice week, getting ready for a bigger project later on. So anyway, the hook you guys have is called an H. That's the size. I don't know if you can see, this blue one I have is a little bit bigger, and then they make them really big that are about this thick, and then they go even smaller, and you use different types for different projects. I asked somebody who does a ton of crochet what a good size to start out with for kids, and they said an H. So I got you guys all an H crochet needle. You're going to want to hang on to that and keep track of it, because in a few weeks we're going to have another project. This is kind of a week to get started practicing. We're just going to learn a crochet chain this week. Okay, so you have your yarn. You want to pull your yarn so it comes out. Mine's already kind of wrapped a little bit. I can show you this. You want to pull your yarn out of the piece that comes out of the middle. Okay, so see if you can get that one. It's easier because it'll all stay together. If you use the other one, like this one that's coming out of the side, it's a little bit harder to keep your yarn all together. So, so start with that, the one that comes out of the middle, if you can get that. And then you're going to work on a slip knot is the first thing. Okay, let me switch my camera here a little bit. Slip knot is how you start, usually knitting and crochet too. And I'm actually kind of excited about this project. I'm a beginner crocheter. I've crocheted over my life a lot, but just basic things like a scarf or a washcloth or whatever. So I'm excited because I've been wanting to learn crochet. So we're going to work towards that, a beginning project for you, but it's fun for me because I'm going to try to start getting a little more into crochet and getting some things done. So I'll show you a little bit more about yarn when we get done. So this week we're going to make a chain. I want you over the next few weeks to buy a skein of yarn. And when we talk about a skein of yarn, we're talking about something like this. This is a skein, or something like this. And our project later on in a couple weeks is going to be, you can choose either to make a scarf, or you can choose to make a washcloth. Those are both two good beginning projects. I also thought with Christmas not too far away, you can see my hair is windblown. I've been outside, it's fall, the leaves are blowing, but that also means the holidays are coming. So washcloths and scarves could be fun gifts for you to even make for somebody. You know, you can make them, you could even make a smaller one if you wanted to with this yarn this week, for maybe a doll or a stuffed animal if you wanted to do that just to practice. But for the most part, we're just going to practice this week. I want you to be getting yarn to make either a washcloth or a scarf. You can get yarn like this at Walmart, Joann's, Hobby Lobby. It's not too expensive. It's usually, oh, I don't know, I think these were like maybe almost $4, $3.79 or something at Walmart, maybe $4. They have all zillions of colors. I picked this one for my scarf because this is just a super in color and it matches my summit stuff. And so this is a color I was going to make a scarf out of later on. They also have these fun things that are different colors. This one's like a camo color. They're all mixed, and usually you can see on them, they'll kind of show you what a project looks like. This is a project I was going to start working on because it's kind of an easy one that I got. So this yarn has all different colors, kind of some purples, and you can see like that. And when it's done, that's kind of how those colors will mix together in the, this one is actually a shawl for a beginning crochet person. So I'm going to be working on washcloths with you, or a scarf, and so I wanted to just show you some ideas for that. My camera kind of keeps falling here, so let me work on the tripod a little bit here. This yarn right here is cotton, and so you'll see on the label is where it says what the fabric, what it's made out of. If you're going to do a washcloth, you can pick a washcloth or a scarf. If you're going to do a washcloth, I would do cotton because it'll dry better. This kind of yarn here is an acrylic, and it's not really going to work well for a washcloth because it's just not going to hold the water right to use it. So if your project is a washcloth, you want to make sure you get cotton yarn, okay? And so a skein of that is perfect. And let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is all we're gonna learn this week is the chain. And so you can have some fun with the chain, and I'll talk about that. You have to start out with a slip knot. So when you do a slip knot, you make, I'm going to use the H needle. You're going to make just a little loop with the yarn, okay? And then you're going to put it through. I'm not holding that very well. It's a little harder up in front of the camera. Then you're just going to put it through, make your loop, and then you put your thread. I got it backwards here. Hold on a minute, sorry, I'm not doing very good here. Make your loop, okay? And then you take your thread, not the end here, the other end, you take your one that goes to your skein, take that end and stick it through. And this piece that you're sticking through is actually going to become your loop. If you watch it, there it is right there. And then as you pull it, your first loop is becoming smaller. And that's called a slip knot because when you pull your yarn, look what happens, it slips out. So you make a loop, put the yarn that's coming from the skein through the hole, and then you can just let it get tightened on the bottom and it slips out, okay? So you might even just want to play with that a few times to get good at that. Put your loop there. Then that new loop that you made with the yarn, that's what goes around your needle. Okay, if you want to pause and just play with a slip knot a little bit, you can. So you just pull a little bit tighter so it goes there. Now, this little piece, this extra little piece just hangs down. The way I hold it is I hold my needle here, down at the bottom, and you can even just play. So you can turn it in there, it's got that little loop around it, you can turn it, you can go back and forth. The way I hold my yarn is I kind of loop it around my finger, my pinky finger, and then I bring it up around this one. So loop it around your pinky finger, comes inside your hand and up over the top of your index finger. Then with my thumb and my middle finger, I hold that little spot right there where it comes together. And what you're trying to do in your yarn to hold it this way is you're making it so it'll keep coming through. See how I can keep feeding that through there as I do my crochet? Okay, it'll slip through there. If it's too tight and won't do that, then obviously that's too tight because you want it to be able to move. I also I have pulled some out because I've been doing it, and you'll see why. But it should come out nice and smooth from that center spot. That's where mine does. If I were to unwrap all this, it would come out the center. And so I let that extra piece hang down, loop around my finger, index finger like that. Then with my pinky and middle finger, I kind of hold right here. That's that little, I'm holding that little knot, that little slip knot right there. Then you just hook and bring it through. When you bring your hook through, bring it through that little loop that was around the needle. And then it made a new loop, okay? And then you just loop it around, pull it through. Loop it around and pull it through. And what you'll see is happening, we're making a little chain. See, there's my 3 or 4 stitches. And you just keep going, loop it around, pull it through, keep going. My camera keeps drooping down. Let me see if I can put it back up again. There we go, so you can see my face here. And just keep an eye on it, loop around and pull it through. And what happens is you're just making a chain. And that's all we're gonna do today. You could even take it out and pull it out like that. It'll come right out. You might not like that with all your work, but remember, we're just practicing this week. So you're gonna do slip knot again, put it through here, put my needle in there, and then loop and pull it through. And you can make a long chain. You can just keep going, make a long chain. And what I want you to get good at this week is just a stitch. Just keep going, just learning this where you're just turning it, hooking it, and pull it through. Okay, hook it and pull it through. Hook it, and you just get used to your yarn and you get used to everything else. And then you can look at your chain. Got some challenges for you this week. So as you're making your chain, just take a look at it and see, does it look even? And I made mine a little bumpy here on purpose so you can see. Sometimes some are bigger than others. And I'm not sure for a scarf that would be a huge deal, but it's nice to get them even. And that just means you have to learn to kind of let your yarn flow evenly, your hooks flow evenly, all that. So just practice. See if you can even get to the point, you can just pull it out again and try more. You can maybe even see, like, how long does it take me to make a foot? And maybe it takes you, I don't know how long it would take to make a foot. Let's see. We can just keep going. If I were to time myself, make a piece a little bit longer, and see if you can get going to the point. Because at first, like, I'm going, pretty good speed here. It might take you a lot longer at first. Oops, and it popped out. That's okay. That's a good thing. You can see my needle came out by accident. I can see my little loop right there. So I'm just going to pull that, stick my needle back in, and get going. Okay, maybe you can even see how long it'll take you. It's going to take longer at first. It's going to take you a little bit of time to get used to it. So keep going. Maybe time how long it takes you to make a foot, and you can measure it or see or a certain piece. And then don't feel bad if you remember, we're just practicing. you could keep it going and making it longer if you wanted, or pull it out and try it again and see how long it takes you. See if you can get faster. You might even get to the point, if you practice enough. Let's make our little loop slip knot. You might even, if you practice enough, get to the point where you can maybe even watch TV and not even pay attention. You know, you kind of keep one eye on what you're doing and one eye on the TV, and be able to do two things at one time, or carry on a conversation while you do your crochet. So all we're trying to do this week is we're going to make chains. You might be able to use the whole thing and make a chain. You might come up with some kind of use for your chain. Maybe you want to hang something on it, but that's all you're going to do this week, is just practice and make a chain. All right, so let's keep going here. And you can make your chain longer than I am. You don't want to sit here and keep watching me make a chain, but remember, you just hook it around and pull it through. Hook it around and pull it through. Okay, I think I can do better when I go a little faster because I'm used to it. So that would be kind of a fun challenge for you too, just to see if you can get, not that speed has anything to do with it, but actually if you can get yourself in kind of a rhythm, then that's when you probably are going to be a little more even, a little more, all that kind of stuff with your crocheting. All right, so that's all you're going to do is make chains this week. You could, for fun, this is something I've even done before when I made an Afghan one time, and I used a larger needle and I put 4 strands together and did them all at once. Okay, let me show you what that does. If I can do, maybe I'll put this maroon one with it. Here's my from the center. Just put them together and pretend you're doing one strand. So it comes together, make a loop, put this up through there. A little bit backwards doing it on video, so it's a little more awkward for me. Here's my little slip knot. If I pulled that, they both come out, so you can see I have 2. And I'm just going to pretend it's one. I'm using a little bit bigger needle because I have 2 on there. Let's see what happens. And it made just this really, when I did 4 strands, it made just this really big, thick Afghan that was really super warm. So I'm just going to make the chain. Usually this strand, like if you were making a scarf or a washcloth, this chain, it would be about this wide as the width of a scarf. And then you're going to keep, I'm going to show you how to go back and forth in our next video. And that's how you're going to make a scarf. All right, so I want you to get, so I see I'm just pretending it's like one strand. And you can see what that does. That kind of gives you a couple little colors in there. All right, so you just want to practice getting even. This week making a chain. Maybe your chain is going to be 10 feet long. I don't know how long would the chain be with this whole thing. And then if you want to, just pull it out and start practicing again. So this is our little skein of practice yarn. That's all we're doing this week, is just to learn the basic stitch. And then I'm going to give you, we'll have a few more how-to videos in the meantime, but then you can just go pick out the yarn that you want for your scarf. Don't forget to do a cotton yarn if you want to do a washcloth, so that it works well with the water. So you can kind of decide on your project. They've got yarn in a zillion different colors, a zillion different, like I said, these are fun. So decide what you want and get a skein of yarn, hold on to your needle, because in a few weeks we'll start doing that again. Okay, and I always wanted to talk to you in all of our videos about something about Summit, so you can get to know things a little bit better. We here, for those of us that are here, are getting ready for fire drills. So we're going to start doing fire drills, but I thought we would just talk a little bit about safety. Remember, we practice safety so that we're ready. I don't ever want kids to feel afraid or scared that we're practicing safety, like our building is probably never going to burn down, but we always want to be smart and ready if something does happen. And the skills you can use here are also the skills you can use at home or anywhere. You might be in Walmart and there's an issue where they need to get everybody out of Walmart, or you might be home and there's a reason you all need to get out of the house quickly. So it's just practicing safety, not to be scared, but to be smart. And one of the other things I wanted to show you, everybody, I wore my Summit gear today. Usually you'll see teachers and stuff in these, but not everybody wears their Summit shirts all the time or their Summit jackets. But sometimes you'll know if somebody has this, they work at Summit. We usually all wear them on days like when there's the launch day or picnic. We'll all have them on so that everybody can get used to who works at Summit and start recognizing people. The other thing we all always have is our badge. So it's an ID badge, and we all wear them around our neck like this on a lanyard, and everybody's got them. So if you ever need help with something, you can always ask somebody who has a lanyard on. And let me ask you, if you see somebody in the building who doesn't have one on, you should tell somebody immediately, because that could be somebody forgot their badge that day, but it could be that somebody's in the building who isn't supposed to be, because even our volunteers get a volunteer badge just like this when they come. So any adult who's in the building should always have this. The other thing is, let's talk about doors. If somebody comes to the door and they're knocking on the door to get in, you should not let them in. And sometimes that's hard because we feel like that's not polite, but you shouldn't. And there should always be a teacher with you anyway, so you could always point out to the teacher, hey, somebody's at the door, and the teacher can go tell them to go to the office or whatever, but don't ever let anybody in the door. You know, even for you guys, those of you that have been here before, we have buzzers on the door that we can see your pictures. So if somebody were to buzz in, let's say in the back door in the commons, even the front desk can see in the camera who that is. And if it's a student, if it's a kid, we let them in. If it's an adult who has a badge, we know them, we let them in. But let's say it's a delivery man for furniture. We're not going to let him in. We're going to, on the speaker, tell him to come around to the front office. Nobody else gets to come in that door. So if you hear somebody knocking, or you can see through the window that somebody's there, don't let them in. So that's kind of just one of the safety things we were talking about, so that as you're a home, you can think about that at your house too. You really wouldn't let somebody in the front door that you didn't know, would you? So we don't want you to do that at Summit either. And so when you come back, you'll be all ready and know what the badges are. And those of you, some of you guys are coming in seat, you're doing your remote lessons, so you've already seen everybody in their badges and that kind of stuff here. So that's just one thing you'll know to be safer as you're here. All right, so as we get closer to holidays, think about if there's somebody you want to make a scarf for, or maybe even just yourself, or a washcloth with their cotton, and keep working on your chain. Feel free to send me pictures if you want to. I love having your pictures. Some of you guys send them on Schoology as a message, or ask me your questions. Sounds good. What else do we have coming up? We've got photography. Mrs. Miller's going to be on with us next time. Mrs. Miller used to be an English teacher at Summit, but she is now my assistant principal this year, so it's fun to have her. So you'll get to know her next week. She's going to be doing photography. Her little hobby is photography, so a lot of us have phones. We're taking pictures all the time, so she's going to give you some tips so that your pictures turn out better. The other thing is, what else do we have coming up? We're going to be learning to make fudge, how to wrap gifts at Christmas time. I've got some pumpkin muffin recipes coming up, so we've got a lot of good how-tos coming. Miss seeing you guys. I'll be looking forward to seeing you. Those of you that are remote all the time, looking forward to seeing you. Hopefully this will be over soon and we can all be back. Looking forward to seeing you and actually having you here. All right, guys, have a great week. Let me know if you have any questions about the crocheting chain. Bye-bye.